and we're with Justice for the Wrongfully Incarcerated. And we're here, we're talking about the bill that we have moving forward in Albany, the one that deals with wrongful incarceration compensation. And that bill also deals with services and compensation for those individuals who've been wrongfully incarcerated. That particular bill does not cover everyone that has been wrongfully incarcerated, unfortunately. Only those people who have been adjudicated through the courts fall under its protection, who can receive services as it is now. But it does change the way that the services are presented to those particular individuals who have been wrongfully incarcerated. Now, it does offer them education, and actually it offers their children education as well. It offers them financial supports and job supports, but it does not offer them everything. But it is a beginning. That's why I say it is not a panacea, but it's a starting point so that they know that we believe people who have been incarcerated for crimes they did not commit deserve some sort of assistance, deserve some sort of help, and deserve something from the government so that they can rebuild their lives and move forward with various things that they have to do to rehabilitate themselves and to have the best life moving forward that they can have. Now, many people, as you know, come out of these prisons and they come out with the shirts on their back. They might come out with $50, which is really good in a way because that will help pay for them to get to home, to wherever it is they have to go, and get them a meal. But after that's done, they are literally like homeless in some cases, unless you're going into some sorts of institutions that allow for people in your situations to have housing. But when you find that you are wrongfully incarcerated and you're coming out as that particular catchment type of person, there's nothing in place for you to fall into that can catch you while you're working through the particulars of trying to move forward and trying to get things done. So before we start, I just want to take a quickie around the room. I see some faces here. If you want to mention your names, you can, and just say one sentence regarding why you're here before I introduce our guest for the evening, who is raring to go. As you know, I'm Sharon Salam. Once again, if you don't want to be in the video, please follow what our guest has said to do. Look in that corner and find something, say on video, so that you can talk, and we'll move forward ahead. Anybody want to introduce themselves? Okay, so that means that everybody is ready to go. And so that means, let me just introduce you to Tracy Hunter, who's sharing and joining with us from Rockland County. And she has a lot of information from that area that she wants to share in regards to what's happening on her home front. Because when you have these situations that happen, believe me, they are not just happening in one community, they are happening throughout the state. We're all impacted by these issues, and we all have to work together to make change in positive ways that affect our people so that we can move forward. Okay, so Tracy Hunter, I believe we have a bio on our website, and the website is j4wi.org, or Justice for the Wrongfully Incarcerated. How are you? There's a bio there that you can read. Our time is very limited in what it is we're trying to share, so I'm not going to read her bio now, but go and join us. And if you want to get more information, you can sign on in the, I understand it's a chat room. You can sign on with your email address so that we can get more information to you regarding what it is we're doing, so that if you want to become a part of this, you're more than welcome to. Tracy Hunter.
Hi, everybody. So I'm with Engine and the New Jim Crow Action Network. And I've been with them since 2005. And our goal is to end incarceration entirely, not just the wrongfully incarcerated, but to start from the school to prison pipeline all the way to when someone is released. And so we've been working here in Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County. They started to build a new jail, and we've been totally against them building that jail. They started out wanting to put in 600 cells. Even though they like to call them beds, it's not a bed, it's a cell. And I refuse to use their language by calling it a bed. It's a cell. It's a human's cage. And we as a country need to come out of that mentality. And in order to make sure that we come out of that mentality, we cannot adopt their language. And so we challenged them. We did protest, and then the bail reform bill came about. We supported that. It was passed. And so then we really were pushing on them, why do you need 600 beds? So they have cut that down. Now they say they're only going to build a jail to hold 300. But we're still fighting with that. Because as far as we're concerned, there's no reason for a jail. There's no reason for correctional facilities. We know correctional facilities are not there to correct anyone's life, not even the correction officers, when they leave there, feel comfortable. So we have to challenge this mentality that the correction and the judicial system has. For a long time, they've been managed to live this way. We know that during slavery that they started deputizing just anybody who had a rifle or a gun to chase down people who were freed. They were freed and they purposely chased them down. And it has developed into this out of control. It is completely out of control. America has over 2.3 million people incarcerated, which is more than there was during slavery. Majority of those people are people of color. And there's this evil, and it is evil. I won't say the person is evil, but their system is evil. Their laws are evil. Why? Because they purposely try to take that person that they released and harass them to the point where they can reincarcerate them. And that's why recidivism is so high, because no one's trying to protect these people. And as you all know now with the coronavirus, well, here in Fishkill, where I'm at, the Fishkill facility has the highest number of people who have the coronavirus and the highest number of people who have died. So if they were really caring people, they were really concerned about someone, if they were really concerned about changing this person and helping them, there wouldn't be these numbers. Because everything they did, everything they do would be to make sure that this person, whoever it is, once they serve their time, they are free. And they are free to start a new life. And they are given all the tools that are needed to start a new life. But this evil system has no desire whatsoever to see that, because what they see is money. They see money every time they bring food into those jails and prisons. They see money every time they dress them in their orange jumpsuits. They see money every time they make them get on a phone and make it a collect call. And where do you think those groups come from? Those gangs. They started in jail and they continue to grow in jail. And they do nothing about it, and they know it. They do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm. So you have obviously a number of people in your community who also have gone in and out of prisons through this time, as many of us have people as well. But we don't want to make it seem as if it's only Black and brown people who are incarcerated. There are white people incarcerated, Asian people who are incarcerated, Native American people incarcerated. There are all types of people who are incarcerated, but the vast majority of these people who are incarcerated are people who are below a certain economic level. They're poor people, people who are barely making it, the middle income people. There are very few rich people who are in jail. And so when we look at wrongful incarceration and incarceration in general, we have to look at who is there and how do we change things. Unfortunately, this country that we're living in, as Tracy has said, is not one that seems to follow that Norway model, where I think the longest a person can spend in jail is 20, 30 something years, even if it's murder. And they have a rehabilitation type of form that they use for correction. Our system is not like that. And many times you go in, if you have a 10th grade education, you come out with the same 10th grade education. You haven't really improved your skills. And so it makes it very difficult for you to find jobs within our society. And because there are jobs that are not available to you, and when you fill in your application, there's something on your application that speaks to whether or not you've been in prison. And I think they say within XYZ time. So let's say it might be a year or 2 years. It's not like have you been in prison in any period in your life, but when they speak to that, it kind of lets people know that you have done crimes in some way. And then part of that is now the person has to decide, well, do they want really a person working in their facility that has a criminal background? So it's a very interesting and difficult process. But also when we look at incarceration and how people are incarcerated, many of them, is the easiest way to get incarcerated is for you to have a witness come forward and say, he did it or she did it. And that is one of the ways where they have the most mistakes, with misidentification of people. They have people who do plea bargaining, and plea bargaining is something that you accept. You say, well, I did this, and someone's offering you something. So it's like, you want to get out of jail, they offer you a plea bargain. So you say, yes, I'll take this lesser charge so I can get out. And not realizing that this too is a part of your lifelong record. And many times people who are innocent or not innocent might walk that particular road because we really don't know if the particular person is guilty or innocent. All we know is they have been caught up in this particular situation, and that has moved us on. Is that the types of things that's happening up in your community as well, Tracy?
Well, recently there was 2 young girls who got in a fight. The police came, the police arrested these young girls, and we're fighting with the police department right now because they have them on charges. I think one is 16 and one is 12. It's a horrible story because there was a fight a bunch of kids, and these 2 girls are sisters, and they were trying to protect themselves. And when the police came, there is a video of the police officer literally grabbing this young lady's arm, flipping her in the air and throwing her to the ground.
Oh my God.
Yes, it is a horrible video to see. But they are, as far as I know, still have charges against them for at what they call, I think they call it administrative. I can't remember the exact name that they call it, but it's like if you approach a cop and he feels like you're a danger to him, they can file this charge against you. And that's what they have against these 2 girls. And so there is a lawyer, and we are trying desperately to make sure that these 2 girls don't have this record on their life, because the police should have been there to help them. They were being beat up. And once they saw each other, they were trying to be there and protect each other. So Yes. Are people being falsely accused or being given additional charges, because that's something else that they do. They give people additional charges because they want to make sure that this person has to plea in order to get out. And we know that in our jail because we take records on what's happening in the jail. Um, but that's the system. That's how it's done, right? A police officer, if he wants to get a bonus or a raise or get recognition, he has to find more people to accuse and more people to lock up in order for his record to look good. The same thing with the DA, right? That's all they want to do is show that this is the many convictions that I have, hundreds of them. Never mind whether it speaks to the truth, and never mind whether it speaks to justice. Their whole system is about penalizing other people. And so that's what they're focused on. And yes, absolutely, that is what's happening here in Dutchess County. And we are continuing, Engine is continuing to be at all of their meetings and challenging them and making them understand that they can change. It's just going to, unfortunately, take time. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. But we do have a coalition of people with so many backgrounds that is for making these changes happen. And so I do feel that maybe one day we have to just vote and get out these people, these elected officials who feel like this is the way for them to win their race, is to make everyone look bad.
Well, that's all part of it. Part of it is making sure that you're voting. And the other part is making sure you have legislation that is there to assist as well, because of the bill number that we have up in Albany is in the Senate, it is 2074A in the Senate. If you look on our website, you will see the bill and get more information regarding it. And we are saying to you all to call your representatives, call the people who have this bill, the sponsors of the bill, and tell them that you want this bill passed. We want some relief for these people who have been wrongfully incarcerated. There are people who are wrongfully incarcerated who may not be able to receive the benefits of this bill because their case has not been adjudicated through the courts. But there are statistics that show that there are at least 2%, 10%, 30%. You know, there's a percentage of the prison population, is what I'm trying to say, who are innocent of crimes that they have been convicted of. One of the easiest ways to get out of jail in some way is to be convicted of a crime where there exists something called DNA. That's something that can be tested. And when they test it, that can show that you did not do the crime, because DNA is evolving and is getting more precise as you go through the process. But that takes time as well. One of the hardest ways to clear your name, if you feel you have been wrongfully convicted and you're an innocent person, is to be out of jail, have served your time, you're out of jail, and now you want to clear your name. That's very difficult because oftentimes there are not enough attorneys available to work with you to help you do that. And since you're out of jail, most of the times you don't really have the money where you can go and actually pay for somebody to do that and help you work through this process. It puts an interesting type of dilemma on people who are in that kind of a catchment group. Now, so let's say someone said that you did it and you didn't do it. And years later, they decide, oh, you know, I realize now it really wasn't this person. Then there's a battle to show that you did it, you didn't do it, or whatever. But this society is a very unforgiving one when it comes to people who feel that they are innocent of various crimes, because Just recently, during this year, the Vice President of the United States executed someone in his home state. And that person was executed, and all he wanted to do was have a DNA test done to show that he was an innocent individual. There was enough of the other evidence there, but it was at the last stage where you needed intervention from someone like the president, the vice president, the governor, someone at the head of the helm of that state. And that was not granted, and that individual was killed. We got to get beyond the system we're in. We got to make it possible so that those people who are incarcerated can move on with their lives and try to make the best that they can out of their lives. And for those people who have been wrongfully incarcerated, we've got to make sure that those people have hands up, leg up to some sort of a healing process. A healing process. We got to work.
I just wanted to also share some things with people. I want you to use your imagination. You're walking down the street and the police come and they pick you up. You are literally terrified, and you all should be, no matter what color, no matter what your financial situation is, but they pick you up and they lock you up. Mm-hmm. And they tell you, for you to get out, you have to commit or agree to the statement that they give you. And you trust them because you are told from a child to trust what the police are telling you. And so you do. You agree to whatever they tell you because they tell you you are going to be released, and you agree to it. Imagine now, you go to court and you're told that you have to serve time. Imagine if you are the person that financially supports your family, what is going to happen to them? Imagine you spending time in jail and not even getting to see your family or your friends as often as you would like because they can't get to you because you've been sent 30, 40, 50 miles away. So imagine spending years locked up in a cell, a human cage, and barely seeing the people that you love. Now I want you to imagine that they decide we made a mistake. We made a mistake and we're going to let you go. I hope all of you are with me now. I want you to dig deep into your heart, into your mind, and imagine how you're going to feel that you're told you can now go home and start your life over. With what? You didn't get any education. If they don't help you get clothes, they give you a bus ticket home. Mm-hmm. So if there's any humanity in you right now, you are feeling sick to your stomach because that's how I'm feeling.
I would actually feel very scared.
Okay, like, now let me say this. Hold on one second. Yusuf, are you still here on the line? Because we have someone that fits this scenario.
I am, but I'm multitasking. I'm actually
I'm on he's multitasking.
Zoom calls right now, and I'm actually about to get onto the other one. So I'm sorry, I still got y'all on, but I'm kind of multitasking.
Now that's Yusuf Salam. He's multitasking. So that means he's got one ear over here and one ear over there. But she just described his scenario right down to the letter. Have other people within this group had that similar experience?
No. Well, no, but I can imagine how it would feel to go through that experience, because it's like, basically, it's like my whole entire life was stolen. Like,
Just
like
because.
you can never get that back. Like for instance, like if it was me, I would lose my mind, because I can't see Natasha, which is my sister, growing up. I can't see my cousins grow up. I can't see my mom. And then on top of that, it's like I'm thrown back into like a big fireplace where it's like you have to start completely over. You don't know what's going on. That's like, okay, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but like that's like basically Superman being thrown from his planet Kryptonite on Earth, and don't know and have no idea what's going on, or how things work.
Right. It's a very difficult situation. And this is why we need this bill to pass. This is why we need you all to call. Now, we say call on Monday, but you can call today, anytime you feel like it. Most people are sitting around the homes. We're on lockdown. We got a lot of free time. You want to call and talk to someone, call and talk to their machine. Call. One of the most important things you can do is to go on record. Because when this opens up and we start going back to Albany, we want them to know that people have called telling them to pass this bill, so that they'll know, even though we might be one person that they see, two persons, three persons that going back and forth, that there's a whole army of us who want this bill passed. And you need to look into your community representatives and have them pass, because in Albany, everybody will have one vote in the end as to whether or not they're going to pass this bill. And we're going to need a large portion of them to join with us. Anybody have any questions?
It's Tracy again. I just want to share with you guys. I thought it was really important that if I was doing this, that I needed to make that call to give you guys the experience, to let you know what it was like to make that call. So I did read the sign-on letter and prepared myself. I decided I wasn't going to make this long, drawn-out statement to them. I was going to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
So I did. I called all 4 numbers. So you don't expect to talk to anybody, because everybody's on lockdown, and so they're not there, but you do get to record your message. So I would say prepare yourself for what you want to say. You want to definitely give the bill number, and for the Senate, it's the 2074A, and for the Assembly, it's 3978A. And you want to ask them to support that bill. You want to ask them to be sponsors of that bill, to sign on to it. And you want to ask them to make sure that it gets voted and passed.
That's correct.
And that the money that is needed is put into that bill. We are asking certain things to happen on this bill. Not sure if all of you know that, but we're asking them to award $1 million non-taxable damages for each year that the person has been wrongfully in. We're asking for scholarships to SUNY and CUNY for the wrongfully conviction that that person had, and also for their children. And we're asking that it be passed in the next, is it in the next 2 years, Sharon?
Well, actually, we want it passed as soon as possible.
Okay.
What we're saying in there also is that there are time limits for people who have fallen into this catchment area, that speaks to people in the past, so that there's no, there's like a, you can come if you have been wrongfully convicted. You can apply for these types of services and these types of compensation under this bill, okay? Now, if you are coming out, you have a 2-year, a 2-year extension. Usually it was a shorter time. That time has been expanded. We did try to fight to get that time removed so that stuff would be more automatic. But you know, you push, you push, you push, and you push. So, but this is where it is now. But we are still pushing. Right now, the bill is in the Judiciary Committee. It's sitting on somebody's desk within those committee members. We needed to get out of that committee, and it's very important. One thing that's so important, what Tracy said, is when the bill is passed, not if, when the bill is passed, we want there to be finances set aside within the budget to cover the cost of the bill. And for those of you who think, well, the $1 million is kind of high per year, that seems to be the going rate. 5 years from now, it'll be lower. So we had also wanted to put in a cost of living increase so that the bills would move up, but that did not happen. But you know, there's still time. We can still make things possible to move forward in terms of pushing this bill. It is a starting point, and we are hoping that this starting point on this particular issue of wrongful incarceration will be one that other states throughout the country can pick up on and also introduce them into this legislation within their states. And hopefully at a certain point, it might be something that's throughout the country. It's so important that you have to have someone start somewhere. You know, I remember years ago, I was speaking to Congressman, the then Congressman, now retired, Reingold out of New York, and he was saying how one of the most important things for people to do when they want to reach out to their representatives is to call them on the phone. And the reason he said that it was so important is what Tracy had said. What she said, you're going to call, you're not going to speak to someone, but there'll be somebody who can take you a message, a phone, a voice that's going to take your message on the phone. So when you call and that voice takes your message on the phone, he said, someone records that number, your message. They have to document each message. So even though they're out because of COVID, because they're on vacation, or whatever the reason it is, they're out. It doesn't matter. What matters is when they get back in, the 1,000, the 2,000, the 100,000 messages that have been put on that phone, somebody has to sit down and write those messages down. And it tells them that people are interested and they want this bill passed. It puts pressure on them to move. He said that's more important than even going up to visit, is to call. But we're going to do both. And we're going to be going and walking up there also to, hopefully we're going to be walking up there next year now, but we're going to be walking up there in the hopes that the bill has passed. And that's going to be a big celebration. But if we can only be celebrating with your help.
Does anybody, I'm sorry.
Yes, Tracy, go ahead.
Does anybody have any questions about the bill, about the phone call?
There's one question. Nani actually had a question. She was kind of shy to ask because she never saw the movie, but she wanted to ask this question to Yusuf. She wanted to know, like, how did he initially feel when he first was released from prison? Like, she didn't see the movie, but I did, but she was too young.
Okay, well, let me just say Yusuf is multitasking. So I don't know if he's near the phone at this particular moment to do the multitasking. But but you know, it's a big adjustment when you come out of jail, and the adjustment is for anybody who's coming out, whether you're guilty, whether you're innocent, it doesn't matter. You have to get adjusted to this new life, because before, when you're in jail, there were people who were telling you when to eat, when you can go take a shower, when you can do this, when you can go that, when you could go outside and go into the yard, when you could go use your phone. Now you're out and you can make certain decisions on your own. You can go to the bathroom, you can go in the kitchen and take food out of your own refrigerator. It's like a whole big process that goes on that you have to adjust to. You can go outside without asking, well, can I go downstairs? Can I cross the street? Is it all right? Because when they come out, sometimes, you know, people just look around and see who's watching, because you think somebody in the crowd knows, even though in reality, the majority of the people don't know in the crowd. They don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you're afraid, you're scared to move. It's an interesting process. So anybody else has anything they want to say? Any more questions? Now, Tracy and I, we can continue talking because we have a lot of comments that we can say on the prison process. Because there's a whole nother side of this when you're going into prison, and that process is the process and the effect that it has on the families of those people who are incarcerated. Families who feel that their people are innocent while you're going through this process, are guilty while you're going through this process. There are some families who will go out and they'll go and try to get a second job so that they can have enough funds to send their loved ones who are incarcerated. There are some people who put their, you know, if they have any kind of money set aside, will put up their, life insurance policies to help their young people who are incarcerated. Now, part of the stuff that we're doing, are planning to do and putting in place and going to be scheduling, that's why I said if you want to get in the chat and you want to leave your email to keep up with what it is we're doing, is we're going to start having sessions on various things that you might want to do and know about what's happening within the legal process. You know, you might want to know, well, how do I get a lawyer? You might want to know, you know, what can I do to protect myself? What are my rights? Do I have any rights? What are they? You know, different things like that and more we're going to be covering. And if you are in the sign up with your email, then you'll be informed as to when these are going forward. Now, this medium that we're using, this Zoom, is something completely new. And we probably can move this forward to do some of these educational pieces and these different types of support groups that we're doing with family members who have these problems today. Because a lot of families, a lot of people who are incarcerated, they come out and they're suffering from the traumas of being behind bars. Many of these family members have been in isolation. Now, you think you're in isolation. Imagine being in a space, you're there all by yourself. Sometimes you don't even have a little hole in the wall that you could look outside and see the sun, see a bird fly by or anything. You're just locked down. Those things affect you mentally. And we're trying to see if we can help you to become whole within that whole process. Sometimes it's good to know you have somebody who you can talk to, who you can just share your story with, who's not going to be judgmental, who's going to hear what it is you have to say. And as we move forward, there are a lot of groups around the state, and this forum is introducing you to some of these groups who are in your community and other parts of the areas that are interested in hearing from you, interested in trying to help you achieve what type of peace and humanity it is you want to do. Yes. You got
yeah.
Okay.
Another question I also had is that once we get this bill passed, do you think that this would speed up the process of them closing down Rikers?
Now, this particular bill does not speed up the process of closing down Rikers. At least I wouldn't think so. I would like to see Rikers closed down myself, but this bill does not address any of the issues related to that. There are groups working on closing down Rikers as we speak. There's a big push towards that. And there's a push towards what's going to happen or come after Rikers. Because many of you may know and you may not know, crime is down. Crime is down in the United States. Crime is down in New York State. Crime is down everywhere. And with this situation of us all being in kind of a lockdown, crime is down in our communities because we're all inside. So there has to be another way to maintain the prisons and to keep people who are incarcerated, and to get more people incarcerated so that the prisons are full. Right now, there are certain correctional facilities that are privately owned that are suing the government because they want to have more people within their prisons. This is a way for people to make lots and lots of money within the prisons. This is why it's so primitive. As long as you can keep it full, you can make money. You make more money off of a prisoner than you make off of someone sending somebody to Harvard or Yale or MIT. You're making so much money off of prison. And there are so many businesses who are using prison labor to do their products, to clean the streets and to do various things. You know, years ago, one of the prison companies that was in was in prison was one that all of us know, and you would never have thought that they had anything to do with prisons. And it was called Toys R Us. Now, I don't think anybody in this conversation would think Toys R Us would have anything to do with the prisons, but they did, and they employed prison labor. And the prison labor really wasn't making that much money because a lot of the monies that were made were going to the prison industry itself and not the prisoners. But you'd be surprised who are in these places. Anybody has a question regarding that?
Any statements from anybody? Anybody want to share anything?
Anybody want to share?
This is Farron. I remember years back when we walked to Albany, Yusuf explained to me that in addition to the difficult innocent, he had been put on a sexual predators list. And even though the courts had found that he was completely innocent and the predator had been discovered, he was still on the sexual predators list.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it takes a minute. You have to have someone that's working with you to have your name removed. And usually a lawyer is someone that works through that process. But the reality is, it's very difficult to have your name removed. And I shouldn't really say it like that because it's supposed to be very easy to have your name removed. But the reason why I say it is difficult is because once your name has been put into their system, you don't know where the name has been sent. It could be in New York State, it could be in Interpol, it could be in any of those prison places throughout the world. For you to get your name out of that, you have to be able to track down where it is and go to all of those places and clean your name out. And every now and then it might pop up again because it was one place you missed going. But they say that they take your name out of the system. That's what they say as part of your being adjudicated through the courts. One of the things that your judge, your lawyer should be asking them is to remove your name. But sometimes it's easier said than done, that removal of the name.
This is Shannon. I have a question.
Someone's saying something, I just can't hear who.
Shannon, we can't hear you. Speak a little louder.
This is Shannon. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. First of all, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate all of your work, and I'm sorry about what happened to your family. Can you speak a little bit about the role of like public defenders and the importance importance of having a good system?
The role of what?
Public defenders or defense attorneys?
Yeah, usually when you go in, they will give you, if your income is of a certain level or if you're a certain age, they'll give you someone they call a public defender. And I don't know, the public defenders, they're not all bad. They do have legal training just like everybody else. There are a population of attorneys that have been overworked. They have a huge caseload of people that they're working with to try to defend. And sometimes they, depending on which one you get, you're going to have some who fight for you like a devil out of hell. And there are going to be some who are going to say, well, why don't you take the plea bargain? So it all depends on who you get. But that's true of any type of attorney that you're working with. But you want to be able to get someone who you can deal with, because the public offenders are available, they are there for you, and they're supposed to represent you. But, you know, they're like human beings too. They have no real staff within the courthouse, so they have to come and they will meet you there within that little cubicle, that little room, that little space, and they'll talk to you for a few minutes and they'll go inside. Some of them will go to the prison to try to figure out what to do with your case and how to work out things regarding your case. So it's all different, but one thing they do give you is the attorney, the public defender. They're going to give you someone, because this whole method of incarceration is built on the premise that everything is legal and everything looks legal. And to do that, they have to give you somebody, and that person is going to make it look legal on your side. Sometimes the people they give you might be right out of college, but just because the person is right out of college doesn't mean that they're not good. It could mean that they are hungry and they're fighters and they want to make it. So you don't really know how they're going to work. And that's true of any lawyer you get. The lawyers that represented in this case that we were in, I know some of them, they said were good. Some of them they said were bad. But you don't really know if they were really good, if they were really bad, or if just the media is saying that they are bad, or people are saying that they are bad. Because a lot of times when you're in these high profile cases, people will say anything to put like a wedge between you and the attorneys. And that wedge kind of makes you think one way or another about them. So you really have to see them in action. You have to see them in action and judge for yourself in terms of how they're moving and how they're working for you. If they're not working well, then you can always try to change the attorneys. I know there was attorneys in the case of the Central Park Five, and there was a time when they did try to change the attorneys, and they were not, well, actually the judge did allow them to change the attorney, but the attorney would have to start that same day. So you don't have a chance to meet with your client. You don't have a chance to familiarize yourself with what has been in the records or stuff, because you're starting the same day. So it's like, you know, they're telling you, yeah, you can go ahead, but under these circumstances. So it's always some kind of a hoop that they throw down that you have to jump over in these cases. But these lawyers are there. They're going to give you one if you go in. The thing is to try not to go in and to get some sort of sense of what your rights are and various things like that. So you know how to carry yourself. Because when you sit down and people start talking to you, let's say about your rights, and you have the right to remain silent. That's usually the first one they say. You have the right to remain silent. And you do. You have the right to remain silent. But is your silence going to lead to your arrest? You're going into jail because you're silent, and now they're going to write you down as a Jane Doe or John Doe. So it's like pros and cons that work with your rights and the rights that they claim that they're giving you.
So before we go, I just want to remind everybody that the meaning for this call, the reason for this call, is to push you to do an action. And that action is to make the phone call. You need to call the Senate and the Assembly that represents your district. And we're also asking that you call the senator and the assemblymen who are the sponsors of this bill. They really need to hear from you to know that they have the backing of the community, and if they're going from New York City up to Albany, they need to know as they're going up that all these people are supporting the passing of this bill. And then there's a judiciary committees for both the Senate and the Assembly. And it's really important that we call them, because they need to get this bill out of their committee so it can go to the floor and people can vote on it.
Yeah.
So the numbers are on the website. Is that correct?
The numbers are on the website for the people you can call. And if your representatives is not on that page for you to call, feel free to call them anyway, because they're supposed to represent you. And they can only represent you if you let them know what your needs and desires are. Don't let them make up stuff and think that they're representing you, and you come back later on and find that it's not what you really wanted. You got to tell them what you want.
Yes, you got to give them the bill numbers. It's on the website. If anybody, you guys, a lot of people I see on this call are Engine members. I want to thank Engine for showing up and represent and being here. I am so proud to know that you guys are here to be here. But I also want you to make the phone call. And it is in the email that I sent you. I made it. I made those calls. There were 4 of them, and then I still have to call our senator, which I'm not looking forward to. And I'm not looking forward to calling my assembly person, but I'm going to look them up and I'm going to make that call. We are home now. Your time is important to you, and we know that. But trust me, when you make the call, even though you may not talk to a person, you will feel good after that. You will feel empowered. You will know that you are part of a group of people all over New York State that is supporting this bill. And that gives you a good feeling. And that's what you should be doing in your time when you're not busy, is to just say, what can I do to help make life better for other people? And that's what this bill is about.
Yes, it is. And we're going to make, when this bill passes, it's going to be making life better for quite a few people. It's going to give quite a few of them a leg up, a new opportunity to succeed and to get the help and the services they need to make it possible for them to move forward. And it's going to say one thing that is so, so powerful when this bill passes. It's going to make our country great again, because now we've done something to help people other than ourselves. And it's a wonderful thing. And as Tracy's saying, we want to thank everyone who's coming on the call, because I don't see anybody's hand up. So I'm going to assume that you all are more than welcome to join us tomorrow night. We're going to have some more exciting guests coming on. And you're welcome to be here and be a part of the conversation regarding this issue, because with each passing group that comes through, new questions are asked, different types of questions are asked, new information are coming out. Now remember, if you want to get more information or to follow us, leave your email in the chat, I understand, and then we'll be able to reach out to you when we're planning and doing things, letting you know what we are doing so that you can become involved. Because we are one, as Tracy was saying, you all are working on prison issues, incarceration issues. We are too. We're all in the same boat, this issue is one of the issues that you're working on because it's all dealing with the prison. We're working on these issues together.
And if you join the call tomorrow, know that I am going to ask you if you made the call.
All right.
Because I'm now giving you a task. And I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you to make that call. And I'm going to challenge you that if you don't join the next call, that you get someone else to join the next call. I have someone on this call from California. I love you. I'm glad to see that you made it. But he came from New York State.
All right.
So all of you can do the same thing. You can get at least one person to join one of these calls, and you and that one person can make the phone call. The more phone calls we get into these offices, the more likely that this bill will pass, and you will feel good, and you will be part of the joy that we did something together.
Yes, yes. And you'll also learn about more people who are doing stuff and trying to make things better for people in general who are incarcerated, because when people come home who've been incarcerated, they're not going to stay upstate. They're going to come to our various communities. And if they don't get the help they need while they're away, then they're going to be a hurt to us.
And just think what you can tell your grandchildren. You can say, during the COVID-19, I helped get a bill passed by making a phone call.
Wow. That is really something.
That is something that you can say you did during this COVID-19 stay at home. I keep asking myself, Tracy, what are you doing? What are you going to say what you did during COVID-19? I can say that I called to get a bill passed to make the life better for someone else. For someone else that I may never see or know. And that's how you have to take this. So it's a challenge, and I hope to see you guys on a call tomorrow, because I'm going to see how many people made their call.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks. Thank you all for joining.
Yes, thank you all. I see a lot of our justice people here too. Thank you all for coming. I see a lot of people who are not justice people. Thank you for coming. Thanks to everybody. Glad to see you. I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you too, sweetie.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anything. Later.
Did someone say something?
No, so shout out to the young people that partook in it.
Ah, yes. And I did notice that you were doing a lot of exercising.
No, I was cleaning. I'm cleaning. I'm listening with my good ear, and I'm cleaning. I wanted to share my story, and my son's. But like I said, we focus on what you're presenting now. This should be a day for that, God willing.
Now, this young lady here who's speaking now, as we're saying good night, she spent time in jail too. It's quite a few of us who spent time in jail. I didn't spend time in jail, but I felt like I was in there. But there are a lot of people who have been. Okay, a lot of people.
Yeah, my mother been through what you've been through. Like she was doing the time with me, the whole 27 years until she had the aneurysm. And then to be in there wrongfully convicted and still don't have justice. That's another thing.
That's so true. So true. All right, so now we're gonna call it, what is it? Good night?
Just one more. I'm sorry, I missed most of the call. This is Karen in Oakland, and I just wanted to find out how can I assist being out of state?
Call and
I can talk to you later about it if it's better.
Yeah, well, you can if you want to. You can call and talk to me later. You have our phone number. You have the number.
Is it on the website?
It's on the website. Yes, it's on the website.
Yes, I did call. Yes, I did call, and I left a message and my telephone number there.
Oh, you did? You called
a little bit, just during this call, a little bit earlier. I did.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right.
So I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, look forward, and if perchance, I I don't call you and you feel like you've been left out of the loop because I haven't responded, call me back.
I absolutely will. Is there a best time to call?
Well, I'm up by 6 o'clock. So that sounds good.
Okay.
So
Okay. Earlier is better, possibly. Earlier is better.
Yeah, but sometimes
okay.
I'm not moving about, but yeah, because when it starts getting late, I start dwindling out.
Okay. Okay. I will call tomorrow morning. Okay.
Yes, tomorrow morning.
Take care.
Thank you. Take
All right.
care now.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'm going to find the leave button. No, I see leave. Good night. Good night. See you tomorrow. Uh-oh. My leave button didn't work again. Let me see. Okay, I got it. I'm leaving the meeting. I found it.